Hello, friends. I'm going to be reading a book called about an artist. His name was Georges Seurat. Georges Seurat was born in Paris, France, in 1859. At that time, Paris was the art center of the world. As a young man, Georges worked very hard to find a new way of painting that had never been seen before. To make his paintings look different and fresh, Georges Seurat used scientific ideas he discovered about color, line, and shapes. Some of Georges's beautifully designed paintings seem to shimmer and glow with light. Others have the feeling of a hot, misty summer day. Georges is probably best known for inventing pointillism. Pointillism was Georges' method of putting little dots and touches of different colors of paint next to each other. Instead of mixing up red and yellow paint to make orange, for instance, Georges would put dots of red and yellow next to each other. That way your eye would mix the color right on the canvas. Georges Seurat believed this method would make his colors appear more natural and real looking, almost like colored light. Orange, you glad Seurat is putting us together? Yes, I think we'll have a much brighter future. Georges also discovered that the way he put lines and shapes in a painting could give the viewer a feeling of being happy or calm or sad. In Les Seurat, the dancer's legs and positions of the musician's arms and instruments are all pointing upwards to create a happy, fun feeling. In the painting below, the horizontal lines and shapes of the sandy shore and horizon give a feeling of a quiet, calm, relaxed day. The scientific ideas Georges studied about and used in his paintings are called theories. Georges learned about these theories in books that had just been published at the time. Scientific discoveries were being made all over Europe in the 1880s. Every day, Europeans were learning more about medicine, photography, mechanics, chemistry, just about everything, including art. Up lines mean happy, straight lines calm, down lines sad. Wow, these scientists are smart. Georges Seurat grew up in a rather unusual home. His father preferred to live by himself, a few miles outside of Paris. He visited his family only once in a while for dinner. Mr. Seurat had lost his arm in a hunting accident years before. He invented a device that allowed him to attach knives and forks onto the end of his arm. Georges' father was proud to be able to carve and serve a whole dinner roast at lightning speed. Sometimes his dinner guests were surprised. One guest was probably Georges' best friend, Edmond Armand Jean. Both Armand Jean and Georges were interested in being artists. They ended up going to the same art school together. In 1878, Seurat and his friend Armand Jean entered the best-known art school in Paris, the École des Beaux-Arts. At this school, students learned by copying statues and paintings done by great artists from the past. Georges found plenty of great works of art in Paris. Among his favorites were the paintings of Italian Renaissance artist Raphael and early 19th century French artists J.A.D. Ingres and Eugène Delacroix. While Georges was working on his drawings, he began experimenting with color. Georges made lots of small paintings. He learned that by using crisscross brush strokes that went every which way, his paintings would appear to shimmer with light. One day, Georges and some friends saw the work of Impressionist artists at an art show. The paintings of Impressionist artists Claude Monet, Alfred Sisley, Camille Pissarro, and Pierre-Auguste Renoir were the talk of Paris in the 1880s. These artists were interested in capturing a moment in time of happy, everyday scene. They worked outdoors, quickly brushing colorful flecks of paint onto their canvases. Even though their paintings were quite colorful, Georges Seurat thought he could do better. In 1883, Georges felt ready to begin his first important painting. It was called Un Bagdad a Cineres, Bathers at Seurat. Georges chose a happy, everyday scene, but went about painting it much differently than the Impressionists would have. Georges worked much more slowly. During the day, he went to the riverside and made lots of drawings and color sketches. He then brought them back to his studio and worked late into the night, carefully placing each figure onto his large canvas. Georges' finished painting was almost 6 feet high and 10 feet wide. Georges Seurat spent more than a year working on his large painting. Bathers at Seurat was exhibited at a new art show that Georges and his friends helped set up. It was called the Salon des Independientes Artistes. This was an important time for Georges Seurat. Not only did his paintings get a lot of attention, but Georges met and made friends with artists who would help him form a new art group known as the Neo-Impressionists. Georges' new friends all liked his scientific ideas about color and composition. They often met at cafes to discuss their feelings about art. Soon, Georges became the group's leader. Georges' art friends admired him so much that they started dressing like him. They trimmed their beards like Georges and even wore their hats the same way. Georges Seurat soon began his next large painting. It was a scene of a small island where hard-working Persians went to relax on the weekend. Georges worked the same way as he had before. He had dozens of colors and sketches during the day, brought them back to his studio, and worked late into the night by the light of a kerosene lamp. After 2 years, Georges Seurat finished his greatest masterpiece, Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Jatte, which was the first time Georges used pointillism over the entire surface of a painting. Sunday Afternoon is very large, too. If you get a chance to see it in person, you'll be amazed. But what happens when you step back a few feet? The painting, the warm sunny dots and cool shady dots of color mixed together to create new colors right before your eyes. When Sunny Afternoon was first shown, many people liked it, but some critics thought Georges' figures looked too stiff. They thought scientific theories about color and composition had no place in art and could make a painting look like it was made by a machine. Georges Seurat never listened to his critics. He knew that Sunday Afternoon captured the feeling of a beautiful and endless summer day that shimmered with warm sunlight. Georges Seurat went on to make drawings and pointillism paintings of all kinds of scenes. Some of his favorites were the concerts and music halls and circuses he loved attending. Sometimes Georges would travel to small seaport villages and relax by painting peaceful scenes of boats and harbors. Georges Seurat probably worked hardest on the colors in his paintings. Sometimes he would paint a pointillism border or even a whole frame to make sure his picture was surrounded by exactly the right colors. Thanks for listening.